Welcome to the Purple Bear Podcast. We're here today again with Collin Rousseau and our guest of honor, Marco Sandoval. Why don't you tell us about yourself, Marco?
Hi, I'm Marco Sandoval. Wow, this is cool. Let's see, born and raised in beautiful Everett, Massachusetts. Living out here in Melrose, right across pretty groovy cemetery. I don't know, man. Nothing much really special, man. I make movies with my best friend here, Collin, and kind of just we have got my own little production company, got my own little my own way of living, I guess.
And what's the name of your production company, and how did you come up with that name?
So my production company's name is Soul Profit Productions. How I came up with that name, actually, it's a funny story. And it involves Collin a little bit. I don't think I've ever told him this story, actually.
Ooh, exclusive.
So, me and Collin been pretty close friends since our early 20s. And had a bit of a falling out, but we came back and with a stronger friendship than ever. But I had to come up with my own. I wanted to start doing films on my own, right? I needed to kind of branch out and grow on my own, and so I was trying to figure out how to like brand myself, and that kind of birthed Soul Profit, which was kind of a play on words with like I'm the only thing that I can profit off of.
Yeah.
Myself.
So it's a double entendre.
Pretty much, yeah. So, but I come from like a slightly religious background, so like profit, and I'm very spiritual. So put the soul in, and Soul Profit kind of came through.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you get into the film industry? Was this something you knew that you wanted to do, or did you kind of gradually do other things and work your way into the film industry?
So I went to college for music.
Yep.
Trumpet player at Salem State, and I wasn't really good. So I was kind of like in this weird cycle where I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing here in college, and like I'm not good at playing trumpet anymore. And I wanted to be a teacher, but they didn't have a education program at Salem State at the time, so I was just like stuck with like I'm literally gonna leave college with like a piece of paper that means absolutely nothing, because I'm not gonna apply myself. At that time, I was a really a lazy artist. I did not want to do work. I was just kind of hoping it'd come to me, but I had to decide on a minor to graduate. And what happened was I went through political major, poli-sci minor, yeah,
political science.
There we go. That psychiatry, and I did not like any of that, so I decided to do theater. I really loved theater. I really loved acting. I think what really got me into the program at Salem State, because the Salem State has a really strong theater program, like one of the, I think it's super underrated, but like they don't understand, like we got people who go on to Broadway that go to that school. But I watched Breaking Bad.
Yep.
And I absolutely loved the writing. And I did it, and I don't know what it was. It was just like how they structured the story, how like you're like, why is that stuffed animal just dropping into a pool, and then you don't find out till like episodes later. And I just thought that blew my mind. So I was just like, all right, well, maybe I won't be an actor, but I want to be a writer, like a playwright or something like that. So I decided, like, and it was just weird timing, and I was just like, I need a minor, I hate everything else, might as well go be a theater minor. And then like the theater professors really like wanted me there. I had a professor, Bill Cunningham, who I showed him one of my scripts, my plays, and it was about it was based off like the 7 deadly sins, and it was like 6 characters in a room kind of story, and like why are they in that room, and you know, I had to perform it in front of the class. So each character had accents, had their own like inflection.
So you played all 6 characters?
All 6 characters. It was like 6-7 pages, and I had to do it. And by the time I was done, I was like sweating. I was exhausted, and but then he came up to me afterwards, and we had a conversation walking back to his office, and he was like, "I see a writer in you," and I don't know, man. At that time, I was going through like a lot of dark stuff, man, and I just wanted to kind of like give up on like being an artist and just kind of just like, this isn't for me anymore, and like that just like.
So he's the guy that brought you back in.
Yeah, brought me back, and like I figured like, okay, like I really want to be a writer, so how can I be a writer and get my name into that industry? I'm like, well, why don't I be an actor, and maybe that'll be my foot in the door, because a lot of actors end up being like directors or writers, and they do their own projects in the future. So I was like, okay, let me be an actor, and then maybe this is the avenue I will be able to be a writer. And then yeah, I started kind of figuring out my way into the acting scene here in New England, and I was going through like Boston Casting, being an extra, you know, going on Facebook and seeing everyone's like casting notice, and I was and that's kind of how I met Collin. I found someone's casting notice. Actually, no, we know a guy named Manny, and I knew Manny. Okay, is this what podcasts are about? Like story after story?
Yeah.
I don't. Okay, yeah. So I met Manny.
Well, I knew Manny would come up eventually.
Yeah. Well, Manny got me into, because I at this point, like I said, I was going through a lot in college.
Yep.
I don't know if you know like multi-level marketing stuff. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we had that in Fitchburg State.
Yeah, Manny was. Manny was a part of that.
He had this like Vima thing, right? It was like
I
energy.
remember. Yep.
Yeah.
Manny didn't get me into it, but like I knew like his upline, and his upline was like his guy, and my guy was a different guy. But I met Manny through that, and Manny was telling me that he was going to school for film, and I remember having this conversation. I was like, bro, I really want to get into film. Like how do I do that? And he was kind of giving me tips, but then years later, like a year or two later, after we like kind of just figured out that was a scam, he hit me up.
I'm glad you guys figured that out.
Oh yeah. You know, it's funny because like Manny's a very like smart guy, like very charismatic, very smart guy. So
very
like
crafty.
So it was weird that like, you know, sometimes it just gets you. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you just kind of have to learn. But he called me to do a role, and it was the first like real film gig I had. And it was for Fitchburg State, and he did I forget, it was with Jordan Tofalo and a couple other.
Mike Daniel.
Mike Daniel.
Melanie De Souza.
Yep.
I don't remember anybody else off the top of my head, but I didn't know Marco at the time. But I remember being in the theater and seeing that because Manny, a buddy of mine, would work together. I kept hearing about it. It was like a Charlie's Angels sort of thing of like 3 girls walking around Fitchburg with samurai swords or something.
Yeah.
I watch it, and then at the end they end up in like the back room where like some gangsters are playing pool, and this dude is like just pontificating like fucking Oberyn and Game of Thrones about it, you know, but he's so evil and all that.
It was
and then I'm pretty sure they kill you, right?
Yeah. I've just finished watching The Equalizer.
Yep.
And in the beginning title of it, they superimpose like this. I think it's a line from Mark Twain. I don't know. I use it all the time. It's like there are the 2 most important days of your life: the day you're born and then the day you find out why. And that really stuck with me. So I'm like, I'm gonna just improvise that in that scene. And then like I did, and it was really nerve-wracking a little bit because when I remember being on that set, and there was just like, it's my first time really like acting, and there was so many people in that room because, you know, Manny he can gravitate people to him. So like people were just down to be in that film. So it was like really fun environment. But like I after I said that, and then Manny was just like, see, that's the type of shit we need in this film. And I was just like, damn, someone like thought I was good. And I got the bug ever since. So and then I met him through Jordan, who worked on that film with Manny, and then said Jordan's like, hey, we need an actor for this feature called Unexplained.
Was it a feature at the time?
We don't know.
Because I agreed to a weekend.
Yeah,
I
well,
agreed to a weekend, and it turned into a full
like
summer.
Summer, brother.
Yeah. So I remember seeing that in the theater in Fitchburg, and that came out, and being like, "Oh, dude, that guy was good. Like that was damn." And I'm like, wish he had used my boy Mike more, but you know, 'cause, I'm a big Mike Daniels stan. You know Mike. I used to have him come by and stuff. Who's a theater actor, still a theater actor to this day, and was also allegedly, rumor has it, the school mascot, Freddie Falcon.
Ooh.
Fitchburg Freddie. You know, I don't know. There have been rumors.
Allegedly.
Been rumors. But yeah, then like a month later, I met Marco. It was on my birthday on this set. I had agreed somehow to be the lead actor of this horror film. I had agreed to be the cinematographer, and then I went from cinematographer to actor. How that happened, I don't know, but that's how film school works sometimes. And then I'm given the script, and I'm reading the script, and I'm reading the script, and I'm like, ooh, this, ooh, so I asked the director, like, kind of, who's the director and the writer, like, kind of, hey, man, what am I getting at with this? Like, what am I trying to do? You know, because it's just a lot of dudes and bros. There's also a lot of, like, F-bombs. Not fuck, but, like, the F-bomb. And I'm like, where am I going with this? And he was like, yeah, man, so you're basically, you're doing this, you're a school bully, whatever. I'll be honest, I got really baked when I wrote this the other day. So, like, I got a little wordy. And I'm like, how do you feel about improv? And he was like, dude, that's the real shit, man.
Yo.
And I'm like, so I can just say whatever. And he was like, yeah, dude, like, let's see that. So we do like one day. I don't know how to act. My theater professor, Richard McIlvain, always spoke very nicely to me, but I assume that was because I wasn't one of the theater majors. Because the theater majors, he would destroy. He would destroy them.
Yeah.
And then with me, he would give me notes and then say, overall, that was really good. And I'm like, this fucking guy, I don't know. I don't know why I agreed to it, but they do the first like day or two, and I think I was doing a scene with my boy James Estes, who is an actor, who is a theater actor. You also remember James.
Yep.
And he knows what he's doing. And then it's like, I'm not acting. It's the fact that there's a camera there. It doesn't matter. I'm just fucking around with my buddy James. So the first like day or two, like I feel really good about myself. And then I think it was my birthday, and we're filming in the Fitchburg track. And that was when I met Marco, who at the time was like, were you still a Marine? Or were you?
I think, ooh, that's a good question. What
Yeah.
was it, 2000? No, so, no, I just got out. I remember because I had this renewed energy of life.
Yeah.
Because when I was in the Marine Corps, I had to be in drill, which means like once a month I had to go on base and work. And that's, my recruiter played me. He was like, oh, it's only like the weekends. Like, no, sometimes it's Thursday all the way to Sunday, or sometimes it's Wednesdays all the way to Sundays. You know what I mean? So like, I had just gotten out of the military, and like, yeah, I still had like that like kind of mentality, but like, no, I remember being able to have that freedom to go act and go whenever I want, and tell someone like, yeah, I can work that weekend, no problem, without worried about like, oh shit, am I gonna miss? Can I swear?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh shit, with like worrying about a missing drill or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about unexplained, but no, this is for children.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, so when I met Marco, you had the Marine haircut, so
Yep.
basically bald, like that, like not flat top,
Like,
but,
yeah,
you
high
know.
and tight. Yeah, yeah.
Fucking like Abercrombie, like polo shirt,
Yep,
and
yep,
like
yep, yep.
just like walking like a Marine, like you eat crayons, and you're like, yo, what's up, man? Yeah, no, dude, I just started acting. I really love this, and what the hell's wrong with me? I'm just like, yeah, man. So, but the script, how'd you feel about it? And I don't remember what you said, but I'm like, yeah. So like, here's what we've been doing. We're just making stuff up as we go along, and you're just like, cool. And I'm like, yeah. And you're like, how do I do that? And I was like, truthfully, I have no idea. But I was like, I'm just gonna say something, and you just react to it. I don't know. And I have no idea how that scene went.
That was-
I don't know if I ever saw the scene.
I watch that movie every every once a year just to remind myself how far we've come.
Yeah. But then that short, it was supposed to be a 2-weekend commitment, and I was supposed to be the cinematographer. Ended up the lead actor, and it took the entire summer. I wasn't paid for it.
Nope.
Was not paid. All nights. We were pulling all-nighters because it's a horror movie, found footage, supposed to take place at night. But I was just doing, you kind of like living this dream with my boys, with like James, with Marissa, who is one of my boys, and Marco, and that's like how we became friends, and like it's just this great group of people. And the director who put it together and everything had a great vibe, but there was a lot of like, he's just like, whatever we did, he's just like, yeah, I love that, dude. Like, oh my God, I love that. Yeah. Including things where I'm like, hey, can you ask the people that we're not filming just not to talk when we're filming? And he was like, well, I thought it made it more organic. It's like, oh, that doesn't. We're in the woods alone trying to bury a body. Like what?
It was quite a summer for sure. It was one of those. I felt for a lot of actors have those moments of like in their career when they're starting. It's like, oh, I really felt like an actor that time, and like at that moment, like I did. Like, but we like stayed at like Forrest's friend's place of living. Like we were just all chilling in the basement, all like, kind of hanging out.
His friend who was dating and living with this guy, and the guy's parents were hippies, and the mom grew like acres of weed plants, and told us, whatever you do, you stay away from my weed plants. We can't have people running through them drunk. And we're like, what are you talking about? Okay. But then she's just like, other than that, you can do literally whatever the hell you want.
It was a bit of a party. It was cool. It was just like, we all just like grew tight with each other, and we were just all hanging out with each other. And it was just like it was a cool experience.
And there was that great feeling that it still happens on more professional sets, but every once in a while you're like, yo, do you know what this movie's about?
I know.
And it's like, and I'd ask him, and I'm like, hey man, like, what's, ABC things happen, because you go in it's some teenagers, you kill some other teenagers out in the woods, and they encounter some sort of entity, and it's like, is such and such going to be explained? And he's like, yeah, no, I'm gonna explain that. Yeah, you're not in that scene where I explain it. It'll be explained somewhere else. And I'm like, all right, cool, because if I'm kind of confused. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you see the film, and the only things that he filmed were the scenes with us. There was one other scene with Jordan Toffolo where she explains everything that's happening, but she didn't explain anything.
Yeah. That was crazy because like my character was actually not supposed to. There wasn't like a lot for me, but I ended up being in the script and the film a lot more than I expected to.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a cool experience.
I think it was I think it was my character was like the psychopath bully, like the bully and like the kite runner, football player or whatever. And then I have like the football team of goons, right? The bullies.
Yeah.
And then I think as it turned out, a lot of the days Marco was the only one that showed up to be one of the bullies. The rest of the other ones just disappeared. Well, and as we go through the movie, we have less and less bullies. Like, they're just getting killed out like off screen.
That was just like that was also like the military in me. Like I still had that instilled. So like anyone who relied on me, or like I told them I'll be there, I'm gonna be there. I was also excited. I was a young actor.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
What did you learn from that experience?
I learned that. I learned a lot about going with the flow.
Yeah.
I learned that a lot of people aren't like. I learned that it's not a perfect system. The filmmakers are humans. You know what I mean? Young student filmmakers, like you get there and you kind of put when I met Collin, I thought he was like the coolest guy that, and like I'm like, oh, everyone talks to him, everyone knows him.
He was wrong. He was totally wrong.
You just kind of put everyone in a pedestal, and then you kind of, you work with them constantly, and then you just kind of learn that like, hey, they're artists trying to figure it out. And like I'm pretty sure by the time Forrest was done with that film, he was the sound person, the cinematographer, the editor. He just did everything.
The director, the writer.
Like, so I mean, I think that was Forrest in his prime nowadays, but that's another story.
Well, he burned himself out. I mean, that's something that I think everybody runs into when you have this idea and you just, you'll do anything to make it.
Yeah.
But like, for every one time that somebody makes the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there is a million examples of what happened to Forrest, where you just end up drowning in your own work, and it's just so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
bummer. But yeah, so that's kind of what I learned.
So where'd you take it from there? Like, what was your next project or role or job?
Man, that's a good question. I think I had that experience because it helped me write it in my resume. And from there, I kind of started doing little small commercials. I did a lot of Boston casting stuff. They put me in like YouTube ads. I did a condom commercial one time, which was nice.
Did you get any free samples?
I did.
Nice.
They gave me a few. Let's see. And just a lot of short films, man. A lot of short films, a lot of like independent, like really low budget indie features. At that time, if you had a SAG actor be in your indie film, then if you were a non-union actor and you were in that film with that SAG actor, that would make you SAG eligible at the time but the rules changed. But like that was my goal, like was just trying to find anyone who is a SAG actor and be able to be in their film so I can be eligible, because once you're like SAG eligible, your opportunities kind of grow a little bit. Here in New England, I mean, it's kind of better to stay as a non-union actor because there's not a lot of like SAG work here
compared to like Hollywood or something.
Compared to exactly like Atlanta, LA, Canada itself. Yeah. But so that was kind of like after that was kind of my I didn't write. I wanted to be a writer, and I just ended up being an actor, and I didn't write. I didn't learn how to hone that craft. Do
you have any regrets from that, or are you happy the way things turned out?
No. Am I happy of the way things turned out? Yeah, like I had to get that experience.
Yep.
I had to fall on my face as an actor to realize that, like, oh wait, why did I want to be an actor? Like I wanted to be a writer. I forgot about that. And then it wasn't until really coming back from California and, having LA really like chew me up and spit me back.
So wait, when did you go to California? Like the timeline?
Oh, yeah. So 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, so I moved to California around that time. It could have been like late 2018. I was there for about like a year and some change, like a year, 6 or 7 months. There was this crazy statistic out there in LA. It's like people who move out there like usually last 6 months and then they move back home.
Yep.
So I was really trying to beat that statistic when I got out there. But like my living situation with a former roommate, former friend was really toxic, and like, I dealt with homelessness when I moved out there after leaving my my current situation with that roommate. I ended up finding a manager, really great guy, Todd, really pushed me for like a lot of auditions, like really big auditions that would have gotten me like a good chunk of change. But I wasn't SAG eligible or SAG, so it was harder for him to put me out for other auditions. And every time there's a million people that look like me, you know what I mean? That's like the thing about LA. It's just like, everyone like that. I don't know if you've ever seen that, like those scenes in movies where like the
line of people auditioning,
and they all look like each other. Like that's what it was, man. Like I'd be like, there was at one point, bro, like where I just kind of stopped caring, and I was just I would get an audition from my manager, and I was just like, I'm probably not gonna get it, so I'm just gonna go in there like, well, fucking whatever, because this is taking time from like me, doing other things.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what I was doing. I know what I was doing, but...
Do you want to talk about the homelessness and how that affected your life, or do you want to touch
No, sure. Yeah, no, I'm really open about it. Yeah, no, I got into LA. I had a drug problem before moving out to LA. I did a lot of like stimulants. So like if weed was like the biggest thing, I did a lot of weed. And then drinking was always a problem, but I got into cocaine like early before the Manny project. I was doing that, and then I got into acting, and I had this like, I don't want to be one of those actors who like die because of drug overdose, especially if I'm not even famous. Just like, how much of a fun like story would that had been like, damn, Marco, what a great actor. That short film he was in. He was one of the greats.
Hey, Forrest, when are we releasing that short film?
We got to put it in memoriam for Marco.
You got to dedicate it to Marco.
So
Any year now, bro. Any year.
oh my God. So yeah, like I had a bit of a drug problem, and then
Did that lead to the homelessness, or was it the other way around?
So I ended up. So I cut the drugs off a lot when I started acting because I really kind of wanted to focus, but you know I'm an addict, so like that came back tenfold. And then I moved to California, and yes, I ended up, coke was hella expensive out there, but meth wasn't. So I ended up being pretty much like a full-fledged meth user. There I was like once a month, and then it ended up being twice a month, and then lo and behold I'm traveling all through West Hollywood trying to find someone to hook me up, and yeah, no, like it wasn't that I was spending all my money on drugs. I was pretty lucky with getting it for free. It was more of the not having any clarity of how to figure out my shit. You know what I mean? Like I was still able to manage a job. And I think that's mainly for my charisma and like the military stuff still being able to be reliable. But eventually, like the drugs were starting to like make me miss work, and you know, like I just fortunate enough to have people that like sympathized with me, I guess, and like gave me chances. Fortunately for me, I left LA before I could burn those bridges. Like I just knew I needed to go. But yeah, it led me to being homeless for a little bit. I was couch surfing a lot. I was living in the car, which wasn't my car. It was actually, I was driving for Lyft, and Lyft did this program where they gave you a rental. And so I was like, fuck yeah, I'm going to take their car. And then like, but there's like, but you have to make these minimum rides to keep the rental, and then you can start making money.
Yep.
So it's like 20 rides a night.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it was crazy. And it's like, so like I would miss those a lot. And then they eventually took the car. Once they took the car, I called my mom and I'm like, I need to come home. Yeah. But you know, like there were a lot of moments during that part of my journey where it's like I wasn't using, and I was actually just kind of being a little bit of a nomad and like traveling to like Nevada, the desert, or Santa Barbara, or like watching surfers out in the beach, and like I had no responsibilities. And those were like moments where like I had a little bit more hope in the future, but like I was just like trying to like, you know, I just didn't care about acting anymore, bro. I just kind of cared about using drugs and shit. And then eventually COVID happened, and I think everything kind of happened for a reason. And I called my mom, and you know, at that point, I just wasn't doing any auditions. I wasn't doing any self-tape.
Did everything shut down?
Everything shut down. But like before that, like I shut myself down. Yeah. You know, like my manager was trying to push me out for things, and I just didn't want to do it, or I did it half-assed. Like I just, because my mindset was like, I'm not gonna get this. What's the fucking point? You know what I mean? So it's, you know, my spirit was already like broken. Yeah. So I didn't even need drugs for that part. I just didn't have the motivation. So eventually, yeah, like COVID happened, and I got really lucky. I left LA maybe a month or two before they shut everything down. Yep. So like everything kind of just worked for itself. But like LA really like chewed me up and spit me back to my mom's house, a drug addict.
And how did your family receive you?
Oh, my mom wanted me home so bad.
Did she know about?
Nah, she didn't know about it for a bit. She didn't know about it until like I think my 1 year clean. Collin came to my celebration. Collin, my director, photographer, Chris Ruiz, he came to my celebration, and my mom came to my celebration. But it was a long journey for sure. And you know, you leave one place and go to another. It's, you know, it's still you're still the problem. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter if I left LA. I was still a drug addict. So like it still found me here in Boston where I thought I was okay, and then like, you know, lo and behold, like my drug of choice was here in Boston, and like I knew the writing in the wall. It's funny, I was actually talking about this at a rehab center on Tuesday. I speak at rehab centers when I get the chance to. And I was telling them, I'm like, yeah, man, like I left California to escape meth, and then I found meth here in Boston, and I saw the writing in the walls, man. If I use, I'm gonna. And at that point, when I moved back, I had I had an apartment, I had relationships, I had people that had loved me and cared about me, and like in California, I was just myself. I had no accountability to anybody, so I could just kill my soul. But now here, it's like the stakes are higher. I'm killing a lot of other people around me.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's when Collin also was part. You know, he came back in my life, but like I was a mess. So like, you know, I was starting to drag people down for sure. So I needed to get my shit together, and you know, ended up going into a program, and then you know, I've been in a program for like 3 years, been clean for like 2.5. So if you do the math, a couple relapses in there in between, but the film stuff was always in. Like after I came back from California. I needed to chill out for a little bit. I was super jaded. I didn't want to do anything with acting. And I was just like, I need to write. I want to write something. And then I came up with my first script that I showed Collin, which was called The Mime. And it was really based off of like what I was going through as an addict, was like this mime who's like addicted to drugs. He doesn't say anything, but he's kind of like this heist guy. He's a thief, and he uses his mime trickery to like steal stuff from people. And it's like a journey of like redemption for himself, which I was trying to like put in myself in his character. And like I was telling Collin about it. I'm like, I love this script. I think we should write it, and we should produce it. And that's kind of how like my journey started happening with like writing again and getting into you know, Umbra and Hombre de la Casa, and then that's when like I started getting more clarity, because I had more clean time, and Soul Prophet kind of was birthed out of that. Was just like, all right, cool. Like I think I have the confidence, the capability to actually lead people to believe in me in making films. And so like I think everything was meant to be honest. Sorry, I answered your question in the longest form ever.
So I've watched a good number of your films. Do you want to like talk about them?
Sure. Which one?
Do you want to go in chronological order?
Sure. Let's see. First film was Umbra, short film, horror. I wrote that kind of like inspired by like Phantom of the Opera a little bit. You know, I had this idea of there was this video I watched. I forgot, it was this YouTube video, and you know, it was this guy talking to the camera, and he was talking to his friend named Peter or something like that. And he was like, it was this really creepy guy just talking to Ken, like, I can't wait for you to meet my friend Peter. It's like, blah, blah, blah. Like, she's really amazing. And then does a smash cut to him in this really creepy basement. And he's like, she's in here, Peter. And he goes into this room, and this girl's chained up, screaming for her life to like save him. And like people like thought this video was like real. But like, you know, and it was like on the news, like on articles and stuff like that. And he was just like, no, it was just like a film project.
And that speaks towards the acting. Like if people can be convinced that it's real, then
yeah, exactly. I was convinced for half a second, but like that kind of, you know, that made me want to write something similar. But I wrote Umbra, and that was I needed, at that point, I did need to figure out like what my production company was going to be, because I didn't want to just be like a Marco production. Yeah. So I was just like, all right, I think that's when Soul Prophet kind of like blew up. And then Natasha, who's my partner and also like my production designer, my art department, you know, one of the best unit production managers you can have on set. She's so like organized. She came up with like the design for the logo, and then the little ghost. We have a little ghost that kind of pops up. So like that was kind of like a good partnership with us to like kind of get that together. And so Umbra was made. Kind of one of, it's like my baby, you know. There's a lot of imperfection in there, but there's a lot of like, I rewatch it, and you know, I never like try to be like pretentious about my work, like, oh, like that was some really good shit. But there are like some moments where I like, you know, there was like a lot of, you know, it was myself and Chris Ruiz, who's my DP, cinematographer. He that was really like his first project as well. I hired him because like me and him acted together, and like I really loved his vibe. And then he like started blowing up on TikTok, and I was just like, you know, like I think it'd be great to have him just like part of the team. He can like give me some pointers about just like being in the industry, because he was starting already like make a buzz as an actor, but he really loves being a cinematographer. Like that's his, like you can tell that's his passion. But it was like his real first project. So we were both learning how to work together and like really learning how to speak each other's language. And like I can go and talk to him, and like sometimes like I'm not as articulate as I want to be. So like I have to talk like a fucking fifth grader, and then he'll get it. and then but yeah, we like just like that was like our kind of our baby, man. We were just learning the process of filmmaking, and like it all worked out. Like your first project tends to be like super low budget indie, like you're usually filming in a house that you live in, a park, something like that doesn't like break the budget, you know what I mean? And we were fortunate enough, I like had connections from a lot of my actor friends that like we shot in a theater, which was like awesome, like Academy Playhouse at Cape Cod. And it was like a full-on dress. Like we didn't even need to do production design. This was already set up. They had a play going on, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll just keep the props and all the set dressing and everything on it, and like you could just film." And like we filmed in this like beautiful theater, and then I found a little black box in Chelsea that I just like paid a little bit of money for, but like we used that, and we had this basement that like my girlfriend's mom owned, and we just like built a little like torture chamber in there. And then there's that scene in that film where he opens a closet, and it's like pictures of all like these actresses, and like that was my like I was just like, I don't want to use my full room, but I want to use that closet, and I think we should dim the lights off really dark. And then it just came together, and like I watch it, and it's like, yeah, there's a lot of like amateur stuff in there, but there's a lot of good moments in there that like make me appreciate like damn, a lot of people like Collin and I are like we not just like me and him, but like all filmmakers have this like bravery of like doing it, and like you never know, taking a chance, man. And like especially if you're like funding it yourself, like it's just like, so there's so much respect to it when you see another guy do it, no matter whatever their situation is. They can film a whole film here in this living room, and you'd respect them because they took that chance, where others, there's still that fear, or they think that it needs to be like 10K worthy, like you're not going to be good at this thing if you don't like try and fail, you know what I mean?
So this was like your leap of faith back into the film industry. After recovery, and I was still going through recovery in there. I think that was after filming that. I think I had because I was still like smoking weed, but like I had like my first real relapse, I think after like in post-production, getting back into like the hard drug stuff, and like, but like working on that project really saved my life, because like at that point, like I was like, I can't, even Natasha was just like, you can't keep doing this, you know what I mean? Like you got a lot going on for you now at this point. Like you have a production company, you have people that like, people that need you, like you need to finish this film, you need to finish editing it. And so like that got me back into like the groove of things. And then and then I started going into meetings. Then that's when I started doing meetings, and then like an NA or AA, NA, like after you go to a few meetings, they like kill your high, bro. Like, cause like you go into then you get high again, and then all you can think about is your like meetings and like all the like the literature and all like you're like better, and it's like at that point it's like not even worth it anymore. So, but yeah. So going back to that, I finished Umbra. I ended up editing it. We premiered it, and I had a really good reception. I was really proud of it, mainly because I'm a really big sound guy. Yep.
Like editing. Like I used to rap. Yep. I used to rap, and I used to do my own beats, and I used to do my own like EQing and everything like that. So like that always, like I was self-taught. So when I did the post-production for dialogue, I was like, I'm handling that, because I know
you were in your zone.
Yeah, and I just knew what my ears, like I just knew like, oh, it's pretty similar to rapping over a beat, especially like a beat you find over YouTube. Like you really got to EQ the hell out of your voice to be able to make it sound at least somewhat professional. But yeah, no, I was really in my zone at that moment. And when I got to hear it in the theater, I was like so proud of it. I was just like, damn, like that's really good quality, because like like Collin can attest to this. Some of the films that we would see on like the theaters, like really produced really nicely, filmed well, but like sometimes the sound quality, it's like it's hit or miss. You know what I mean? And it would always bug me.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. You know, because you can have like a beautiful film that's well acted, but if there's audio hiss, there is no. I mean, isn't the trick right that you forget that you're watching a movie?
Yeah.
You forget that you're watching something. Like that's what's so great about Breaking Bad is you feel like they're like the DEA is going to kick in your door and start yelling at you about what you're doing. You forget. It's like an out of body experience. It's impossible to have that if the audio sucks.
Yep.
But if the audio is great. And the other stuff, some of it can be bad. It could be poorly shot, like Clerks, but incredibly written, and it sounds like a movie. And that's you get lost in that world of Clerks. You get lost in the '90s. But if Clerks had a bunch of audio hiss and just sounded like trash, Kevin Smith would be working at a comic book shop.
Yeah, yeah. So audio is always my. It takes it. That's like the longest part of.
That's the part you obsess over and make sure it's just.
At some point, I feel like I should just hire someone to do it because it does put a lot of like strain in because one day it sounds great and then you take a day off of it and then you go back and then it's just maybe it's my my
Are
OCD.
you like a perfectionist? Would you say when it comes to audio?
I think I would say so. Okay. I would say I really. You need to ask Collin how much I was anxious about filming the Guardian Festival.
Premiering.
Yeah. Like how anxious I was that I couldn't hear the film before we actually premiered it with people, like testing it. And I know he understands that I was really like, but like
the theater, they did test the films without us, and they didn't tell us, and they were like, "Dude, it sounded great."
I'm like, no,
and I'm like, okay. And he's like, that's not good enough. He's like, I'm gonna grease this guy $200. I'm like, don't do that.
I really was. I'm like, I need to. I'm having some slight panic, traumatized because it ended up being beautiful. It sounded great.
Yeah, it was amazing. But so leading up to that, like that whole thing was for me just anxious and anxiety inducing, and putting on that festival was so much work. Way more than like I realized, and I was so anxious and exhausted and burnt out. And the only thing I was really worried about though was getting on stage and having to speak, because I'm like, well, who the fuck gives a shit, what the hell do I even say? And it's like I can't even get to like, I felt like I had a responsibility, so I can't even like do my brand of comedy and just offend people.
Because you have to be professional.
Yeah, of course, because it's like this beautiful charity and everything, and then all these filmmakers who work so hard and all that. And I'm like, I'm always the guy that people look to for the gallows humor, as you know, not for the hey guys, we got a great night coming up. Like I just sound sarcastic. So I was so anxious about that, and I was like, Marco, what are you gonna say? And he's like, I'm gonna wing it. And I'm like, how can you what the fuck, dude? What the fuck? But then he's like, bro, but like the audio stuff, the audio. And I'm like, is it when you look at it in the editing software, does it appear here? Does it appear here? It's going to be fine. And you're like, that's not good enough. So I get on stage. We both get on stage. I present the sort of thing. I get some stupid laughs. You were there. I don't fucking know what I'm talking about. My sister may have given me some anxiety meds going into it, So I'm like, fuck it. And I'm like, that was fine. Yeah, that was fine. There's like kind of a moment up there where you realize you're actually, the room is actually filled with people that love us.
Yep.
And that's like that. And then after that, I'm like, oh yeah, we chilling. Like, this is great. And so many people there that worked on these projects. Yeah. So for me, the public speaking, it's like, it's never as bad as you build it up in your head. Like, so I'm like, yeah, no, that's fine. So I go and I sit down next to my sister and one of my best friends who I grew up with, I went to high school with, and we start the movies, we're having a great time and all that. And then at some point I get up to use the bathroom, and Marco is in the back of the theater, just pacing, like aggressively, just pacing back and forth. And Natasha's like, dude, like, it's fine. And you're like, no, it's not fucking fine. Stop. And I'm like, dude, what's wrong? Did somebody do something? Was there a fight? Did Salvi swing at somebody? Did Salvi threaten somebody? You're like, dude, the audio. And I'm like, what's wrong with the audio? you're like, no, but the audio on my movie it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad.
So I had an experience with Hombre de la Casa where when I premiered it one time, and this is not really like the fault of like the theater, it was actually the venue's fault, but the audio was just so low. You know what I mean? And like there was, and for me that is just like watching someone take a big dump on like your favorite book.
I think it's like you said, like the courage to just fucking pay for it yourself and go out and do it. It's also like the courage to then premiere it and be like, hey, look at this, like, because I have something to say, you know. And it, what do you think? And it's, especially for me, it's like I don't. It's not so much about them liking it, but it's like I really hope they get it. You know, especially something like Third Eye. It's like I really hope they got some of like the grief that's going on and how grief can be insane or whatever. It takes so much and it's so anxiety inducing building up to people are finally going to see this that I have watched 1,000 times at this point, and then to have it not be viewable is just the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah.
When I was in film school, we shot a intro to film, Bob Harris, Film 101. Like, we our film group, we did 5 short things throughout the semester, and we took turns writing and directing each one. And I finally got the chance to write and direct one, and that's why I went to film schools. I want to be a writer director. I want to be Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino. I want to be that guy. And the one that we were doing, the one that I wrote, was the one that we were shooting on a Bolex on 16 millimeter film. And it had to be a silent film, and it had to be like 2 to 3 minutes long. And I think I wrote about like a college girl waiting for that after peeing on the thing and waiting to find out if she's pregnant or not, and like things flashing before her eyes. And I wrote it, and then I directed this actress. And that was one of my first experiences, like actually directing somebody with a camera. And the cinematographer was, like I said, we changed positions every single time, except for the cinematographer, because in high school he filmed the school's football games, so he's the cinematographer. And in film school, like it's very caveman like, and you're like, okay, yeah, he's the guy, like he's the fucking guy, and he's filming it, and we're just it's on film. I can't see what he's filming. And he's just like, oh, it looks great. And I'm like, all right, yeah. At this point, I've seen 3 other things that he's filmed, and they look fine. It's shot digitally. So then we premiere it at the end of the year, and it was 3 minutes of black screen.
Oh, no.
3 minutes of black screen, and it wasn't like a thing where, a professor or whoever tested them, if they tested them, was like, hey, your film didn't develop right, or like the guy didn't light it right, like you don't have anything to show, which is just devastating. But I had to sit there for 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. I think it was 3 minutes of black screen, no audio, because it was a silent thing. And then next to me, muttering, is the cinematographer saying like, "Oh no, the light was good. The light meter said the all this." And I always remember that moment. Like you'll always remember. Was it Hombre de la Casa, or was it the trailer for it?
Oh yeah, the trailer. Oh yeah. Man, yeah. That was when. Oh my gosh, I had a sponsor at the time too, and I was like, I called him because I was that upset about it.
I remember I drove to Everett like the day after that, and you were like,
I was so upset because I premiered. And it was the same venue too. I don't know why. It was at a bar. And it wasn't really set up to be like it was just like, we're used to theaters or like a big venue that holds the space for it. But it's a bar. So the bar is like on the other side of like the staging area. And then obviously it's a projector. And then the speakers, who knows how long those speakers have been there. But like it's also a bar. Yeah. And like just people are drinking and they're talking. It's like it's just not the right setting. But the trailer, I had premiered it. I had traveled like an hour and a half to go here, and like Natasha was there. For some reason, it was skipping, like lagging so bad, and I was like really upset, and like it to the point where Gabby was just like, "Let's try this again," and it was like in front of people. Like I felt really embarrassed, and then I was just like, no, I had to leave because I was just I didn't want to be there anymore. I was really upset. But yeah, you like put a lot of work to it. You know what I mean? And Hombre de la Casa is a really
it's powerful.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it
personal.
Very personal story, you know, and and it bums me out too because, you know, now like talking like.